Bases dropped on Soccer's morning show. Soccer down here. Sorry about the 906. I guess it could be part of opening kickoff this morning. You know, when you have something to do and, you know, then you're supposed to be doing something else. And as it turns out, you know, it's like, yeah, it's only like 4 or 5 things. And so you anticipate that it's only 4 or 5 things. And the 4 or 5 things have like 19 different subsets and 28 different sections. And you know, it's almost like Alice's Restaurant, you know, when you know, paragraphs, arrows and pictures and paragraphs on the back of each one. So 5 things end up being like 72. That's what I was trying to do this morning. I was trying to fill out some paperwork. And it said, yeah, it's only 5 things that you got to do. Morning, Coco. Morning, Nick. And then it was like, oh, well, no, you got to do this. And you go this. And you go down here, down here, down here, down here. So, yeah. So I was still in the process of filling out paperwork after like 9:06, 9:05. And then 9:05 turned 9:06. And I was like, oh, bleep, we've got a show. And so that's the fun this morning is Jared Smith now joins us. And I was explaining the value of, you know, when somebody says that you're filling out paperwork and it's only like 5 separate things that you've got to do. And then the 5 things actually have like subsets and paragraphs and things you've got to fill out that weren't filled out before. And you got to add this and add this and add this. So yeah, that was why we came on at 9:06 this morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I had that going for me this morning. So Nick's apparently has seen the price tag and has gotten sticker shock, and $185 in tax for the new authentic MLS jerseys. Pain, according to Nick's. I didn't know.
Yeah, the prices are. If you ever wonder why people go to like, I don't know, like shady sites for things.
Yes. Yeah.
Charging people almost $200 for a jersey is how that happens.
Yeah, that is absolutely how it happens.
That's why I still own a French national team kit that I bought in a bazaar outside of Xi'an, China. For that very reason, because it cost me like $5 American.
When did you do this?
2012.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't even fit really. But we were there's this huge market in Xi'an, and we went in there and they had a French national team jersey. I was like, I like that. That's cheap. And the lady wanted like, I think she wanted like $10 American for it. So,
whoa,
so it's about 60 yuan and 50 or 60 yuan. And I was like, I'm not doing that now. And so I walked out. No, like not even like as a negotiating tactic. I was just like, I'm not paying that much for it.
Not paying it.
And then she's like, and then she came back and she like caught me outside. She's like, how about 30 yuan? I was like, sure. Okay. But that thing is also that jersey is nigh indestructible. It might be flame retardant. I don't know what it's made of. It might have given me tumors. It might have given me superpowers. All of these are on the table.
Nice.
But, my point being, you wonder why people go buy gear from non-official sites at sometimes, and this isn't like don't necessarily get mad at your local teams, be it Atlanta, Nashville, Charlotte, Vancouver, whoever the hell it might be. Don't necessarily deny your teams, because that's one of those things. I think the league manufacturers set those prices, but yeah, they're they're pretty ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's yeah. I mean, I legitimately have a budget. And
yeah, to Wile E. Coyote's point, a jersey they won't show a picture of.
Like, yeah, by the way,
we haven't seen. We'll see it tomorrow.
If you want it, you know what? You can buy it. Picture coming soon is what you're getting for.
And here's the thing: some people are cool with that. Some people will just straight up be like, "Yep, New Jersey, I'll buy it." But I'm actually in Wiley's camp on this. That like I'm not buying, and it's not even like an Atlanta thing. It's not with any specific team. This is my personal feeling on it. Is I'm not buying something I haven't seen in person. That's just me. The
Yeah.
last time, the only time that I can think of recently when I just went YOLO on a kit was Loch Ness FC did a Scotland specific kit
Yeah.
for when Scotland made the Euros in 2021, was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
It was the 2020 Euros that they played in 21. When Scotland made it, Loch Ness FC made a really cool kit, and I bought that one sight unseen, and that worked out nicely. But yeah, I'm very much the guy. I'm not buying something that I haven't seen. I need to see it first.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, it's got to be I've got to see it, and I've really got to want it, and it's still got to be within my budget. I mean, there's a jersey, and I guess this has evolved into opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code soccer down here 15. You get 15% off your purchase, and they in turn take 10% reinvested into the youth game. Kickoff Coffee Co, kickoffcoffeeco.com on social media. There's this kit from like a Serie Chi team that has been making the rounds with a model dressed as a mermaid. And if you go on to Nicolifi's Twitter feed, you'll see the jersey, and it's ridiculous. And it's a smaller manufacturer, and they're charging a pretty decent amount. I'm debating that one. It's over my limit, and you're having to ship it from Europe, and I'm like, yeah, I might go there for that one because I've seen it and it's awesome. That's about the extent of it for me.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I'm very much like I'm not gonna shell out my money.
No,
I got too many things to buy as it is.
yes,
Chief among them, and if you're on the Discord and you've been into the shenanigans section, then
uh-oh.
you'll know this. Chief among them is trying to see how efficiently I can justify spending $500 on the Rivendell Lego set that's about to come out. That looks absolutely insane. Like, if you haven't seen this, basically, like, Lord of the Rings and Lego have kind of had a falling out over the last 7-8 years. Like, so you can't buy like the Lego Lord of the Rings game. I have Lego Hobbit because I bought the download back in the day,
Okay.
and Xbox still honors that download. But you can't buy the sets like just in the store. You can go on the interwebs onto like Amazon, any place like that, and buy them secondhand, but they cost an arm and two legs.
Okay.
Like I had the Mines of Moria and Balanced Tomb. We're getting really deep into the nerding right now. I had the Mines of Moria and Balanced Tomb, and that thing we opened. My daughter and I opened it and built it. Like, that was the first Lego set she helped me build. So
Okay.
it means something to me. But otherwise, like, the thing was worth like $300 unopened. The value on these sets is out of this world because you can't find them. Well, now it sounds like they're starting to rebuild that relationship because now we have this Rivendell one that is like, it looks amazing, and yeah, it's 6,000 pieces. This is like the 5th biggest set I think they've ever made. Like it's bigger than the Death Star.
Okay.
So yeah, we're getting deep into the weeds on this stuff now.
But there's nothing wrong with that, though. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's what opening kickoff is all about.
Yeah, and it's well, but here's the thing: we've gone from opening kickoff to Lord of the Rings Lego sets.
So
we have completely jumped out of pocket. That's fine. It is what it is. But yeah,
nothing wrong with that, though.
So yeah, that's that I'm already trying to like justify the expenditure of that. So yay!
Just make sure you save it. Make sure you save your receipts and all that kind of stuff.
Hey, Coco, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw that the biggest ones are the Star Destroyer and I think the other one was the Imperial Walker, like the Imperial Walker.
Okay.
The AT-AT.
It is OG. It is the opening ramble. I mean, that's kind of what opening kickoff is. It's like whatever's on our mind. And sometimes the opening kickoff ramble goes for a half an hour, depending on the topic.
We got rid of we had a Nintendo Switch for a long time and weren't really using it that often. We got rid of it during Black Friday and ended up with an Xbox. And part of it was, my wife and I were both like, what if we just did that and played Hogwarts Legacy, which she is working through emotionally right now because, as she said, I have work. I don't have time to do this. This feels like a terrible investment of my time.
Tafka, that is on the docket this morning. We are going to discuss Jesse Marsh. The Kefsey splurges on United. Passion over logic. Byrne just bought a Palmeiras and a Flamingo jersey for $15 for both.
Jesus.
That's a good call. Will, pitchers and catchers report tomorrow. And Coco is the wife is staying at home with the daughter, so she can't wait to get it. And yes, Will, it's opening kickoff, and there's nothing wrong with random additions. That is absolutely what we're here for. Okay, now Coco, considering, and this I guess classifies itself as part of opening kickoff / ramble. Coco's daughter wanted him to start throwing her onto the bed this morning, so she's now a wrestling fan. You can
join the club.
Yeah, you can teach
relate to this.
Serious anatomy and physiology by doing these kinds of things.
And yeah, my daughter didn't want to be thrown like wrestling style. She just started like trying to pin me down and like almost doing like a triangle choke on me.
Nice.
And like laughing the entire time. This is when she was like 2.5.
Yeah.
Because at this point now she's almost 6, and yeah, it was more of like wanted to basically choke me out and giggle the entire time.
and Will is definitely true. Will says teacher the RKO out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, but you have to like if you're going to do it that way. I agree with Will. The trick is if you're going to do the RKO out of nowhere with your child, you have to like toss them. You can't just like casually RKO them. You have to be, they're falling down. Oh, bam, RKO. It has to be the RKO as they're coming off the top turnbuckle. Absolutely. And it has to really be out of nowhere and anger every wrestling fan in the immediate 50-mile vicinity.
Yes, like the Seth Rollins, the Seth Rollins RKO at WrestleMania off of the top, something like that. No, I mean we used to do. I DDT'd a buddy in a backyard when I was a kid. That was before the RKO existed. It was the DDT, and literally it was a snap DDT, and it was right in the backyard in the middle of a game. And so I'm right there with you about teaching those kinds of things. And also, Coco, if you taped promos like last night, the Cody Rhodes Sami Zayn promo, that was truly, this is one of the best plot lines they've had in quite some time with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. And the promo last night was absolutely out of control. And so we start talking wrestling promos, and that means that Nick Leafy now joins us this morning.
Can I make a comment about this promo?
Sure.
Because I really like it.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in feeling like the predecessor to this was what they did with Kenny Omega and Hangman Page on AEW a couple of years ago?
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's not to make look, Sami Zayn is absolutely killing this entire thing. Like if they started having like award shows for wrestling of who's best performance in a long running a long running
best performer male, best
in a work
female, yeah,
in a long work, he's absolutely knocking it out of the park. I was like, I remember watching someone like, this feels like the Hangman Kenny Omega thing from a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels exactly like that. Because for those who don't know, in AEW, Hangman Page was this beer drinking cowboy guy, right? He would just get total like drinking whiskey and beer and whatnot, and in order to raise his game to beat the best in the world, Kenny Omega, he had to go clean and sober. He had the backing of the Dark Order. and it was this unbelievable, like, 3-year storyline that played out. And so it was just spectacular to watch the payoff on that. But this whole that promo last night took me back to being 12 years old on the couch, screaming at the television. No, Jake the Snake Roberts, don't put the snake on the Macho Man Randy Savage, don't do that. So I mean, it's been absolutely amazing to watch.
Well, and I was watching the promo itself, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, this is how Cody sets up Sammy to win the title. And you play up Sammy, and it's like, yes, I know Roman's unbeatable, therefore I thought you were more beatable, and I figured I would take you out. That's the Cody heel turn eventually, is that when Sammy has the belt, that's when Cody gets the heel turn.
There's no way in the world they're doing a Cody heel turn anytime. He's the biggest baby face in the company.
Not anytime soon. But not anytime soon. But this sets that moment up.
Imagine telling yourself, like, even like, what, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, that Cody Rhodes would be like the biggest baby face in WWE.
Yeah, I mean. Full disclosure, I have a DVC Pro tape of when Cody Runnels won the state championship in his weight class.
Which one? He won it like twice, I think.
When he was a senior, and this was the traditionals. It was his senior year at the traditionals down in Macon for Lassiter High School.
Yeah,
and in his corner in the post game interview, it was Dusty, DDP, and Glacier.
Well, yeah, because Glacier taught at Wheeler, I think, or Pope. I think he taught at Pope because a friend of mine from Reagan Radio days, who's a big wrestling guy. I want to say Glacier taught at Pope or one of the middle schools maybe, but he was like a PE teacher.
Yeah, and when we were doing the interview,
Glacier is a hell of a callback for those of you in the WCW world.
Yeah,
yes.
Like that's Glacier's a bit of a deep cut.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And when I was doing the interview, and Cody cut the promo and everything, and he understood. Dustin called in the middle of the interview, and Dusty hands me the phone. Story time with John. In the interview, the phone rings. Dusty answers, exits the screen, comes back in. We're still doing the interview. He hands me the phone and goes, "Here, it's Dustin." And so while I'm doing the interview, I said, Dustin, John Nelson, talking to Cody and your dad real quick. I'm going to hand the phone back to your dad and keep doing the interview. Thanks for calling. Great to hear your voice. And literally just kept right on going with the whole thing. And so somewhere in the recesses of file tape is a BBC Pro tape of Cody Runnels winning the state championship at Lassiter. And
he was really good, y'all. Like,
yes,
he was really good at that gig.
Yeah,
cause some of these guys, like it's that whole thing with like I know we play it up, and they have played it up for so long to the point that I'm very curious how much like younger fans get it. That like I know they played up the gold medal thing for a long time. Oh, Kurt Angle was
a bad man.
Mm-hmm. Kurt Angle was legitimately one of the most insane, like traditional Roman Greco wrestlers that America had for a long time.
Yeah.
And I believe he had connection to the Foxcatcher.
He did.
facility.
Yeah. Well, one of the great stories out of WWE was that Brock Lesnar, yes. And if you go back and look at if you're new to wrestling and you are watching any of the, the old school stuff where Lesnar was young, that dude was built.
Mm-hmm.
He was bigger than he is now by far. His traps went like all the way up to his ears. And apparently he was talking trash to Angle. And so the locker room starts going, hey, Kurt, Brock says he can beat you in a straight up wrestling match. Like not like a chairs and all that, but like straight
Olympic.
Yeah, an Olympic style wrestling. And Angle goes, let's go to the ring and do it. And Angle thrashed Brock Lesnar. Thrashed him by everyone who's ever told the story. Thrashed him. So, and the whole thing of like these guys just being, just kind of jacked up, weightlifters. No, man, these dudes are like supremely athletically talented.
All you have to do is look at Angle and Shane in King of the Ring when Angle belly to belly Shane and they don't break the pane of glass. And Shane had him do it again, and he had to do it harder and with more force to get Shane through the pane of glass on the window for the spot in King of the Ring.
Also, these guys are much faster than you think they are.
Yeah.
Like not just like sprinting speed, but like inside of 5 feet. Like, if you've ever like seen or ever like gone up against someone who did like traditional like Olympic style wrestling,
yeah,
you have no idea how quick those people are.
Explosive.
They're going to grab your leg before you can flinch.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things with in the world of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There's a guy whose name does not get spoken of enough. We talk about Royce Gracie and Hickson, but there's a guy named Halls Gracie. It's spelled Rolls, but like traditional Brazilian, that R is pronounced like an H in the beginning. So Halls Gracie was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu badass who then went and learned Olympic wrestling in the process. And if you go through any of the family legends, he was the baddest man in that family, who tragically died in a hang gliding accident, but he was the baddest man. He was the one dude you didn't want to mess with. He was in line to be the family champion. And so he credited cross-training Olympic style wrestling to go with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu badassery. And yes, Will, Haku, the baddest man on the planet.
Oof.
Yeah. I'm happy to co-sign that one.
Yep. Lesnar might be Holland's dad, according to Kefsey, and Will Johnson might be Angle's lost cousin.
Yes.
There you go.
I'll co-sign that.
And everybody's got their comments on spring training coming up. Braves and Cubs fans living together in one timeline. It's glorious. That's opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends. Nothing like a 25-minute opening segment about wrestling promos and Saturn V Legos and jerseys that are...
That's Saturn 5, sir. Saturn 5.
Saturn 5.
Saturn 5.
Saturn 5 rockets. There you go. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. KickoffCoffeeCO.com. And don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. Get 15% off of your purchase with everything that you get at Kickoff Coffee. And thanks to everyone who has. And they, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it into the youth game. And that is very, very cool stuff from them as well. So, once again, Kickoff Coffee, KickoffCoffeeCO.com. Kefsey says that Booker T is the only real soccer connection as an H-Town rep. Emilio, heard about Glenn Beckert and the Black Cat incident. And Will, Lesnar's from Minnesota, which was the one place the Vikings colonized. So, there you go. Got a lot of stuff this morning, and we have Champions League returning. We've got that. We'll go over the juice boxes, that in a little bit. We have some stuff involving UEFA, but I wanted to start with Jesse Marsh. And it appears that those that wanted Jesse Marsh to be the head coach, and once again, this is recency that we're talking about here and applying this. Jesse Marsh may not be the new head coach for the USMNT because Southampton has apparently agreed to terms with Jesse Marsh. A week after he was let go by Leeds, he's going to Southampton in the Premier League. So he's sticking in the Premier League. And guys, I posit that this is a big deal because this is the first time that you have had basically an American manager on a callback in the Premier League. You've got, you've had the one and dones. You've got Bob Bradley. We've talked about Bob Bradley ad infinitum ad nauseum and how he got screwed when he was at Swansea. But I would posit now that this is a big deal because you finally have an American manager who a Premier League team is sitting there going, yeah, okay, we'll tap that one. We'll go there. So Jesse Marsh, it looks like he's heading to Southampton, Jared.
Good for Jesse if that's the case. Good luck at Southampton.
It is a good luck, no question.
It is bold of any of you to suggest that this eventually rules him out of the U.S. national team, because as we know, the English are not very patient when it comes to American managers, because they have to be way too proud of being English, despite the fact that like all the good managers are not English. They just, I guess, have to not be American. Like, hey, you can't cut it into our league, man. Most of your managers can't.
The
cut
colonial.
Most of the English managers that we think of aren't cutting it in the Premier League on long term. Like most of the ones we think about are like Big Sam, like guys you bring in who are just mercenaries to keep you from getting relegated. Like, so no, I don't miss me with like, oh, he's not a great English manager.
He's not English. He's not a great English manager.
Yeah, who cares, man? Like, but they're not exactly patient with
no
with American managers. So we'll see.
Fabrizio Romano reporting
stable would be for him,
and that's the thing. I mean, Fabrizio Romano a couple hours ago reports that they're close to appointing him. Parties discussing the final details of the contract to get it done in the next hours/days. Nick, the meeting on Monday was positive.
Yeah, look, I think it's a great thing for American managers if this goes through. Completely co-sign what Jarrett said. This by no means takes him out of the running for the U.S. men's national team job. Jesse's style is perfect for the situation that Southampton's asking him to get into, which is, hey, look, we need to run ourselves ragged for the final bit of the season to stay up. And I think it's perfectly fine to do that. It's there are teams, especially on the lower end of the table, that are more economically constrained than the big boys at the top.
Yes.
And so the style that Marsh runs, that Rangnick Red Bull style, is very, very attractive to these economically constrained teams. So there's a reason, like New York Red Bulls, we were joking for the longest time that they were taking Division III water boys and putting them out into an MLS lineup.
Yep.
There's a reason for that. And so with Marsh, I think he'll keep Southampton out of the relegation zone.
Okay.
I think so, but I don't think it's going to be enough of a bump to have him keep his job going into, 2 years. I don't think he's going to get 2 years out of the Southampton gig. I think he'll get maybe a year and a half tops, and then he'll be on his way, and then he'll be the U.S. men's national team manager. But this is, I know that Jason and I have disagreed a great many times on this particular style that Mr. Marsh runs. Yes. I am a huge proponent of it. If I'm starting a team from scratch, or I have a team that is in a very bad way, this is the system I'm running with, because I can take any Joe Blow off the street with athletic ability and make them competitive, right? And over time, I can evolve into a press and possess style. That's great. But in the meantime, I'm probably only going to be able to do one really well, and the likelihood of me being able to turn a team into Ajax, which we've seen over and over and over and over and over again with say 15% success. I'm sorry. The Rangnick style is better to get off the ground with, and better to keep you out of the cellar with. So I think that this is a great move, but I do get concerned that more American managers will try to pigeonhole themselves running this style, as opposed to something that is more sustainable long term, right? And that's the key. What's sustainable long term? This style is not sustainable long term. It's just not. So, as far as what Coco's saying, where there are clubs in Italy that would do well to give Marsh a job, I think a team like Venezia should absolutely get him a look. I think, a team like Spal, which just fired De Rossi, should, give someone like Chris Armas a call and say, okay, we'll come in and install this system and let's see what we can get out of it. So I think there's opportunity there. But the biggest issue you're going to have to overcome is the Italian mindset that, Americans are. You guys are very cute. Yeah, good job. Stay over there. Don't come here. That's they have to get past that, and I think it's some time before that happens.
Yeah, Kevsey, please. Tessman and Busio need help.
Yeah, they do. They need help. It's for an organization that prides itself on metrics. As far as as far as kind of money balling their way through Calcio at the moment. I'm sorry, the traditional way has not worked for them. Hiring these managers, these old school relegation scrappers, isn't going to work. You might as well go full whole hog, out of the box thinking here. And the best thing you could do is hire someone like a Marsh or a Chris Armas, and just say, look, bring in Chris Armas and say, you have a 3-year contract. You're going to see Venezia out through the rest of the year. You're going to see them probably through most of next year. And when Marsh becomes available, you become his assistant. Unless you have like insane results that, warrant you keeping the job. But you have to, and I think Tafka nailed this right here. The style is great to start with because if you're trying to punch above your weight when you're outmatched, it's wonderful, but you must have a secondary approach because eventually you're going to run out of steam. Eventually you are going to run out of steam. That's why there's no stars above that New York Red Bulls crest. That's why everyone from the old Soviet system on down, all the way down to Ralph Rangnick. I'm sorry, you can only run it for a certain period of time. You're going to gash yourselves out. You must start possessing the ball at some point. And so, but short term, Venezia could use them. Southampton obviously could use them. But it's absurd to me that a team like Venezia or Spal has not tried to get one of these guys in yet.
Yeah, burned. Venezia's had some terrible overpays. Didn't they pay $8 million for Busio and more like that? Byrne says that's lunacy.
At the time, $8 million for Busio did not seem like it was that crazy from the full. Like whenever you look at the transfer market at that time frame, the $8 million, he seemed to be a player on the ascendancy. But I would say that, looking back, hindsight's 2020. Yeah, $8 million might be a bit rich. So, we can't look at it from, looking back, right? You have to look at the conditions that were existing at that time. And Busio checked off a couple of boxes. One, he had, obviously Italian lineage and Italian citizenship, which made him, he doesn't have to occupy an international spot. He doesn't, a non-EU spot rather. So that's very valuable as a player on the ascendancy. The draw to the American market, there are a lot of opportunities there. If Venezia had stayed up to really market and build your program around him, none of that really happened though, because Venezia tried to moneyball their way through Serie A, and that didn't work. So, it's when you get relegated, this isn't like English Championship where you could turn on ESPN Plus and see it. Like you have to really jump through significant hoops to watch Serie B, and Serie B is not terrible to watch. It really isn't. It's a really good, high quality ball going on there, but you do have to jump through significant hoops to do it because the Italians are stupid when it comes to marketing and generally putting your name out there. It's really, really dumb how they handle it, the TV rights. But and no, Coco, I don't think the Italians would be accepting of gegenpressing. They aren't. It's not as much of a work rate league. it's not one. It's one where there's work is valued, but it's not like you're not gonna have fans sitting around being like, "Wow, those boys worked really hard today." Like that, they're really working to get that win. Nah, that's not. Nah, that you're not really going to get that kind of reaction out of it. I don't think.
Hard work, yeah, no, not so much.
No, that's good Protestant thinking. Like that Protestant, empty hands are the devil's playground. That's some good Protestant thinking. That look, we are in the seat of Catholicism, my friends.
Not just Catholicism, Roman Catholic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, hey, look. We acknowledge one Holy Roman Catholic Church, sir. Thank you.
Well, I'm just saying, like there's no room. This isn't like Protestantism where it's modifiable.
Correct, correct. And so, but there's not that kind of workman mentality happening there. It's they want results for sure, but you got to have something to hang your hat on, and just running is not going to do it, because you'll get a pop. 2 or 3 wins. However, whenever the inevitable trip up happens, or a team like Spal passes their way around you, you're going to be like, what the hell is this? No, blow it up and start over.
Tafka says that game state can dictate which gear you're in. Red Bull's press or the talent superior possession. Tata was as close to the best blend he's ever seen, but even that was a blend as opposed to a secondary practiced coach. So that's Tafka's thoughts. Will, Protestantism is like libertarian Christianity. Very choose your own adventure / this can be whatever I want.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Jack.
No, I mean, it's me the one raised Presbyterian, so I mean, it's what it is.
Well, there have been studies. Like if you read Inverting the Pyramid, there have been studies that more Catholic-centric nations play the sport very differently than Protestant-based nations, which are more in the line of work rate. Like work rate is more valued in Protestant-based countries, according to these studies. This is not Nick Alifi trying to restart the troubles. I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is there have been studies put forward where teams based in Protestant countries tend to value work rate over the Catholicism, which involves more of there needs to be a little bit more of an artistic flair to it that's valued, and or more of a dogmatic approach to a particular style of play. And so, should shock no one here. So, when you think about how countries set up and how countries play, it really starts to make sense. You don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, obviously, but it's something to consider. And you have to figure out what's going to work. I mean, why does Italy play defensively? Because Italy's not that old of a country. Everyone's tried invading it at one point or another, and there's this very defensive mindset mentality in everything. If you want to see that in art, I'm sure. Yeah, exactly, Jason. I'm sure no one will be upset by listening to this show.
Only half the folks will be upset at any given time.
Right. So remember, so we'll go back to the Renaissance, and yeah, we'll go back to the Renaissance here. And Michelangelo was more concerned about being a sculptor than a painter. The Vatican calls up and says, "Hey, we need you to paint the Sistine Chapel," and he's like, "I don't want to do it. And I'm going to just, I can get you some sculptures instead." They said, "No, you're going to come paint this thing. There's 2 ways of doing it. 1, we can excommunicate you, or 2, we can pay you and you can come paint this thing." And they said, "Cool, I'll go ahead and come paint your thing."
I don't remember asking.
Yeah, so he went and painted the thing, but the cardinal that was particularly troublesome to him, to Michelangelo. He got the last bit of Michelangelo got the last bit of little middle finger action. Painted the cardinal with donkey ears in hell, and so the story goes that the Pope comes by and says, and the Cardinals complaining, said, "Look at this! Look what this man has done. He has committed a sin. He's committed an atrocity. You must have him change this." And the Pope allegedly turned to the Cardinal and said, "Purgatory and heaven, I can do something about. Hell's out of my jurisdiction," and walks away. And so, but it's that. There's that defensive mentality in everything. All right, you're going to, this pettiness that exists and flows through the country, which is why, Catenaccio flourished there for so long, because it was like, yeah, we don't care. Like the perfect scoreline, 0-0, baby. As long as you don't win, I don't have to win. As long as, you don't win. So it's absolutely insane when you go through the line, as Byrne was talking about a minute ago, where all of these dogmatic approaches, fall in, and where these nations sort of tie in and say, we don't give a damn about results. This is how we're going to play. You look at Barcelona, right? Look at Spain. Look at, even with France and Italy. And then you look at Germany, England, right? And look at what those fan bases traditionally buy into, right? It's absolutely wild when you start digging down on it. So, and Pep is, Pep.
So is Martin Luther Ralph Rangnick, is Bielsa John Calvin,
yeah.
And then the question from Coco, then where does Pep fall?
Pep, here's the thing: is that Pep is a bit of a unique animal, because he got most of his training from a Dutchman, right? I mean, so that's where it's very, like, Pep kind of occupies this weird space. I'm not going to say he's maybe he's Episcopal or something.
Catholic light.
Catholic light. So because he was largely schooled by a Dutchman on press and possess, right? So, he occupies a very strange space there.
Will is asking if he's Billy Graham.
No.
Oh God.
No. No.
But Coco does admit that Pep is a very hybrid bird in this context.
He is. He's more Episcopalian in my mind, because he still has that dogmatic Catholic approach to the style of play. But at the same time, there's enough Dutch influence in there where you're not, he can't shake it, right? He's not hardline Catholic. So, there's that Northern European mindset is certainly still there.
I truly did not anticipate the conversation going in this direction.
Yeah, neither did I.
No one does. No one signs up for this.
No,
just make it happen.
Yeah, and the thing is that Sean is not wrong. He thinks that Nick has stumbled on the new soccer and geopolitics and religion segment every day. Byrne, why do you think American soccer players do so well in Germany? It's shared values when it comes to soccer. McKinney's claim to fame at Schalke was that he ran 14 kilometers a match.
Yes. Yes. There's a reason why in the original colonies there were, like, you could identify clearly the Catholic outcroppings, right? Which was what? Baltimore. Well, it was Baltimore, and then you had what? Savannah, and outside of that, it was largely Protestant until, like, all of the Irish and Italians bombarded New York and Boston, right? I mean, so America was founded on a largely Protestant, upbringing and buy-in, Church of England, and or the Puritans, and so yes, Byrne, thank you. God, I feel heard. I feel seen.
Byrne is all over it this morning, but no, and Will says my knowledge of post-Reformation Protestant dudes is very limited. I'm right there with you. I'm just hanging on to this comment for this conversation. I'm just like, okay, sounds good. You guys are off and running, and I'm just listening because I have no idea what you guys are talking about. I get it, and I mean, yeah, really, Sean, why go to college? Why go to college? Just listen to the show. Just listen to this show. I mean, the extent, Jarrett, for me about religion and its applications is Celtic and Rangers.
Yeah, and that's
Catholics and Protestants.
It's also that's also really oversimplifying it, you know.
Like I said, I mean, you have folks. I mean, you have folks in the Northeast who on St. Patrick's Day wear orange. They're that mad about St. Patrick's Day. They will wear orange. The Protestants wear orange on St. Patrick's Day.
I mean, because a lot of times if you're going to do these kinds of things and have these discussions, you're condensing it down really.
Mm-hmm.
You're really condensing it down to a much smaller conversation. For instance, like you're oversimplifying it, and it can be it's not great to do. For instance, like if you've ever you could oversimplify it in the sense that like you ever seen the movie Gangs of New York? That's oversimplified, and it ignores nuance. You know what I mean?
Yep. Let's see. So
like it's never as simple as people want it.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm just saying that's part of the conversation. Is like we always oversimplify stuff.
Coco teaches philosophy at the college level and finds this wonderful. I mean,
thank you, Coco.
Will is Pep Herman Bavinck. Will went out with someone a few times who was a big fan of his, late 19th, early 20th century Dutch Reformed Calvinist.
Ooh.
That's deep. That's a deep pull, Will. I'll give you that one.
That warrants further study.
Yes.
And the OG learns so much here. She admits it's not sure how valuable it is in the real world, but she learns a lot.
That's why I'm broke. You can't do this in a job interview. You talk about any of this stuff in a job interview. They're like, look, we really appreciate you coming in today. Thank you so much.
What else do you appreciate? We appreciate you coming in today.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll have a coffee sometime and we can talk about this stuff, but we just don't see a spot for you here with the company.
Coco teaches intro-level philosophy at the college level.
Oh, look at that.
I always loved philosophy class because I didn't have to be right. I just had to prove I wasn't wrong.
Yes.
It's what philosophy was great for.
Yes. And Sean now feels that, Nick, that he should donate to your church.
I'll set up the 501c3.
Yes.
We'll set that up.
Well, and OG, if it's any consolation, I do it too. OG Googles a lot when she listens to the show because there are so many obscure references. We probably should have an SDH annotated, kind of like when Dennis Miller was on Monday Night Football and the next day USA Today ran a Dennis Miller annotated where they explained all of his obscure references.
What I'm hearing is we need an SDH wiki.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's absolutely true, and probably should put it in the Discord. And I don't know if it's a channel that I'm allowed to have, but that's
no, you're allowed to. The only one you're not allowed to be on is food.
Oh
just
yeah,
food.
yeah.
That's a safety measure.
Yeah,
that's just a safety measure.
And Coco, no, and Coco, SOT and SDH are the same thing pretty much. So
we blended the streams.
Yes, and so Will is like really just trying to guess locations and times. Ideology, as long as it's generally in the neighborhood, is okay. 4-card this morning on the first hour of the show, we talked about wrestling. We talked about its entertainment value. We talked about acting in an entertainment sense, not in the athletic sense. We did talk about how athletic wrestlers are, and the discussion of Jesse Marsh probably to Southampton has taken us down the ideological and religious comparisons with soccer philosophies and coaches and kit purchasing. KFC, yes. Why would I want to drop $185 on something that says picture coming soon? Those kinds of things.
To be fair, we do a variation of this, and we can have this conversation in the video game section. We do a variation of this when people pre-order games all the time. Where like people want to pre-order games that aren't out yet, and like you don't know if it's going to be good or not. And it's an entire conversation about for instance the think about how many of the Call of Duties and Hogwarts came out where people pre-order them without having ever played, they don't know if they're going to be good or not. And it's amazing to me that it keeps happening because so many of these game companies keep pumping out games that aren't completed. Like, hey, you know what an update or a patch is? It's we put it out before we were ready because we could make money, and then we can just make the improvements as we go along, as opposed to putting out the complete game.
Okay, now someone's going to have to explain this to me, and this won't be the first time. Sean is suggesting SDH and ChatGPT signed a partnership. What is ChatGPT?
Artificial intelligence.
Thank you. Okay.
So it's one of the scariest things right now for middle managers, for teachers. Essentially, you can throw just about anything at this AI, and if it meets the rules of engagement, it will provide you a very detailed and lengthy response, right?
Okay.
So I'm not going to go any further than that because I'm trying to save everyone. Yeah, that's the thing. Will nailed it. So it's Coco nailed it. Sorry. Yeah. So it's dangerous enough to write full essays and papers for students, right? And so there are a lot of people kind of freaking out right now on its usage and especially in the academic space.
Okay.
So it's very. I'll let you explore on your own there, Johnny. But
okay. Well, that would take effort, and that's too much effort for me to sit there. I could probably do a Google search or a Wikipedia search and go ChatGPT. What are you? And then I sit there. First paragraph. Okay, good. I'm good.
There you go.
So that's pretty much how I would do it. And Will is like, you just can't go in and edit out all the bad things like Joe West did to his Wikipedia. I thought he got denied editing to his Wikipedia page, or he tried to, and they wouldn't let him. I thought that's what happened to Country Joe. So, and 4Card, this is kind of SOT this morning. We're all over the place. I mean, we've got Champions League coming up to talk about. We got some other things involving UEFA to talk about. Some folks are saying Alexander Sefrin should resign because of stuff that came out yesterday. So there's a Qatari bid for Manchester United to get into, where they could drop 4 double extra large, and go, yeah, okay, here, no installment plan. We're interested, and just drop it and see what happens. We got all that kind of stuff for hour number 2. Dangerous enough to write essays and papers for students.
I mean, but especially for someone who's teaching an intro philosophy class, that's a big damn deal.
Yes.
That you got something that can plagiarize, and they're trying to figure out ways around that. But the problem is, and go correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like it feels from the outside kind of like drug testing for steroids, or in the Tour de France, where every test is a step behind for what the next cocktail is. Every fix they have there's going to be a workaround ready for it. It has to be implemented. So at that point, you're playing whack-a-mole blindfolded.
Okay.
It's the cream and the clear of the academic world. Right now.
Okay.
So
that's
Bentner. Look, everyone is now asking about a Nicholas Bentner segment, and I don't know what I've done to deserve this kind of animosity thrown my way, because I try to bring uplifting, joyful, and introspective commentary, and instead we have people who are trying to drag me into the 9th level of hell, which is the Nicholas Bentner conversation.
Yeah. Well, isn't that kind of what we're here for?
I guess so.
Yeah. I think really the only update that we have on Nicholas Bentner, as Jarrett has gone to do things in the real world, is that apparently just under 2 weeks ago, Lord Bentner on his Instagram dropped a naked photo of himself back to the camera with a tramp stamp, and it looked like he was peeing on a radiator. That's all I can say. It's out there on his Instagram, and that's the only update that we have really on Nicholas Bentner, is that he was naked in his Instagram photos as of the 2nd of February.
Oh God!
And take the photo and interpret it as you should see fit. Let's see. KFC, a friend who told me about it said it's very bad at finding info on African American history. Must be indexing some bad info. Ricky, sadly, finding info isn't easy to do anyways. Coco, yeah, plagiarism checker right now doesn't have an answer for Chat GPT. Having to run topics through there on our own to see if we can read people's essays. And so Ricky, having to do with it, SOT and all of the accoutrement with SOT. Nick, you had so much time off from it, you got to dive back in sometime, and that's why we bring Nick in when Nick can these days, so we can have kind of the European influence in the show for things that I miss, and I would never have thought to go down the religion rabbit hole like we did this morning if you weren't here. Legitimately, I would not have thought to go down that rabbit hole. But we did.
Look, if any show, I think every program director should have my number on file, and just when things get really crazy, they should say, "Hey, look, we need to go completely off the rails this morning. What's Nick doing? Call Nick and have him take our show completely off the rails." Yeah. And I know Soccer for Good OG. I know the Nicholas Bittner stuff is absolutely hilarious. Mm-hmm. So it's all good. It's all good. There are no worries whatsoever.
Yeah. Will says that GPT is basically the darkest corners of the internet have figured a workaround to influence it in far one direction, which may not be the most ethical. Coco with our PSA for hour number 1. Parents, please teach your kids about the value of creating your own papers and not using someone else's work.
Yeah. Look, at some point, and it's this old rule from jiu-jitsu, right? Because you would have people who would go in and would watch YouTube videos nonstop, right? They would watch YouTube videos, and it's always the same thing. It's like, hey everybody, this is so-and-so, Professor so-and-so from North Minneapolis Jiu-Jitsu, and I've got something that we've pulled from the streets here to put out for everyone. And then these people watch it, and they try to implement it in class instead of listening to what the professor in your own class is trying to teach you. And one of the head instructor for Alliance is like a 5-time world champion, right? Try by all means to use whatever you learned on YouTube against him. I promise you, it doesn't work well. and they would say the truth is on the mat, no matter what. No matter what, if you watch YouTube, if you're paying attention in class, you're not paying attention in class, the truth is on the mat. And I think that truth is on the mat goes across all subjects and verticals in life, right? So if you sit there and you say, well, I'm an expert on soccer, I am an expert on this, I am an expert on that, and then you meet a real expert.
Oops.
And you try to have a conversation, they're going to figure out very quickly whether you are legitimate or not, because the truth is on the mat. Uh-huh. And if you are teaching, and I'm going to be old for a moment. We had to use the Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah, baby.
To go dig up stuff in the library, right? And instead now, like going and just putting stuff into the Google and calling it, pulling up whatever you want. Now, the benefit of that is there's never been easier access to information at all in the history of the planet. The downside is you're just as likely to get 5 billion conspiracy theories fed into that search engine as you are legitimate, real, verifiable knowledge. And so we have to be very careful because we're teaching fact finding or information finding rather, and not critical thinking. And so I think this is a conversation I have to have with my 13-year-old son all the time. We have to have these conversations like, Dad, what if the balloons are aliens? Okay, great. What if they are? Well, they're shooting them down. Okay, son, think about this for a minute. You have a spaceship that's probably traveled light years. Yes. Okay. Past gravitational anomalies. like black holes and radiation pockets that would fry just about anything. Yes, micrometeorites traveling at 10,000 miles an hour, punch holes in just about anything. Yes. Okay. Re-entered Earth's atmosphere. Yes. Okay. Do you really think that it's going to loiter in the air just to be shot down by a $400,000 missile? Silence.
I'm just chilling. I'm just
Right,
chilling.
like no, like we would be so comedically outgunned by that technology that it would, yeah. But yes, F-22s are exceptionally badass. And then it's like, well, why don't you shoot them down? Okay, well, here's the thing: it's a bag of gas with an undercarriage that's the size of about 3 school buses. If you shoot the bag with bullets, the bullets will continue to travel because they really didn't hit a solid object, right? So they're going to keep going for miles. Good luck if you're a cow, a horse, a family of 4 in a small mid-sized sedan downrange. You know, and
Not wrong.
yeah. And so, what about missiles? Well, we would shoot a missile at it. Okay, great. And we'll go story time with Nick on that one. The first job I had in the Marine Corps was a Stinger missile operator, right? Low altitude air defense. So we were at 29 Palms, all right? So we're out in the middle of the desert. It's about 120 degrees. And I'm in what's called the Avenger. The Avenger looks like, if we remember the old RoboCop movie, the Ed 209.
Yeah.
It looks like the Ed 209 sat down in the back of a Humvee pickup truck is what it looks like, right? So I'm in there, and we're tracking these drones. The drones are balsa wood drones with the flare shoved into the back end of it, so that way a heat signature picks up. I track it, I engage, I fire the missile. The missile harpoons the drone, breaking it in half, does not explode. The missile is now seeking the next target.
Oops.
Problem. What is the can any of you gentlemen answer what is the normal healthy body temperature of an adult human?
Somewhere 98.6 ish.
There we go. And what was the temperature that I said was outside?
122 ish.
About 20.
Right, about $120. Okay, so now we have established the fact that this missile could literally hit anything, right? Thank God there was a rusted tank hulk on the far side of this valley, this little canyon area. The missile immediately locked onto that, zipped down, and blew up, right? Now, a lot of our missile technology operates in a similar fashion, either using heat or negative IR, which means it looks for us a hole in the sky if it can't find a heat source. Now, if you launch a Sidewinder and it blows through this damn thing and doesn't blow up, guess what it's doing? It's looking for the next active target, right? And that might be a Cessna, it might be a 737, and if the warmest thing around is a Buick LeSabre, it's gonna go after your Buick LeSabre. Okay, so look, guys, critical thinking works. You know. You don't have to know everything, but critical thinking can help you out with a lot. And yes, I am, Sean, the person you can go to for a great many things involving geopolitics, the Department of Defense, and some weird elements of the sport we all love.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all combined into one thing sometimes.
All combined into one thing. But, and yes, F-22s, what makes the F-22s really so badass is, one, their high operational ceiling, and two, that they incorporate a super badass thrust vectoring system, which means you can pretty much stand this plane up on its rear end and have it do sort of like a dance of death, where any other aircraft would stall out, but this thing, it moves its engine nozzles around, it's and can adjust the thrust accordingly to really get some oddball angles of attack, and its stealth too, largely from
I don't know. I was always a fan of the A-10 Warthog, which was, I was always told, basically a casted bathtub with a gun on the end of it.
Yeah, it's a titanium bathtub that the cockpit is set in. It's built around the titanium bathtub and a gun. And they're like, how can we make this fly?
Welcome to the U.S. military, where we just throw things together and see if we can make it fly.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
So a cool story about the about stealth technology, and then we'll get it back to sports. Is that, so initially the U.S. government was trying to figure out how to, like, even mentioning the word stealth was a felony at one point, right? They were trying to get these aircraft companies to make something, but Skunkworks was so deep in black projects that they weren't even really considered, even though they built like the U-2, the TR-1, and the SR-71. And so they go to Northrop, and Northrop had their process was building around an engine. They would build an engine and then build an airframe around the engine.
Makes sense.
And so they were essentially trying to figure out how they can get this thing to work. Lockheed comes in and says, "Look, we'll do what's called bid for $1. We'll pay $1 to be a part of the process, but we keep the IP." Government says, "Okay, have fun." So what they didn't realize that Lockheed knew was that there was a former, I believe it was a Russian scientist who had a paper, a series of papers on the predictability of radio waves tucked away, I want to say at Cal Berkeley. Lockheed went, dug it up, and they built a computer program called Echo One. And Echo One was a way to digitally create an airframe and test it against the predictability model that this scientist had put forward. And when they built the first mock-up of the F-117, Air Force shows up. They're pinging downrange, and it's coming back the size of a large bird. And the Air Force is pissed. They're like, "Man, we came all the way out here for this. Yes, it's smaller, but it's still the size of a large bird." And then the radio crackles and goes, "Hey, there's a large vulture on the model. Do you want me to scare it away?" They're like, "Yes, scare the damn bird away." They scare the bird away. The model vanishes. Air Force is like, "You win." So, yeah, it was, if that gives you, and this was like in the late 70s. So if this gives you any idea about where we are now with the F-22 and the 35 and all that, that should give you a pretty decent idea. So it's not just the shape of the aircraft anymore. Now it's the radar absorbent materials and everything else. Which one was it
that couldn't fly? They had issues getting it to fly in rain.
That was the F1. The F-117 was the one they called the Wobbly Goblin, and they had to have one of the most advanced fly-by-wire systems put into it because the aircraft, like on its own, should not fly. It's like a bee. Like there's no way this aircraft should be able to remain aloft. And so it was, the Wobbly Goblin was a pretty unique bit of engineering. A lot of them have been mothballed and stored in, these desert hangars, but they have a few of them that are still active now. So it's pretty cool.
And as we have dived into hour number 2,
the veered wildly.
We wobbly goblined ourselves into hour 2.
But Sean has the breaking news that happened at 9:00 this morning. I know I need to get the drop. I need to get our drop back.
We're going to do the Peter Jennings drop.
Yeah, and so Ted Lasso resumes March 15th. Season 3 is.
There we go.
We have a date on Apple TV. It is March 15th. They've released the trailer, and in its first hour of viewing, it's already been viewed over 390,000 times. So, not a surprise. It's a minute-long trailer. It's out, and so Ted Lasso Season 3 premieres March 15th on Apple TV Plus. And it will probably break the internet. So there you go.
It will. Okay. I'm still of the fear that they just got too on the nose with the Nathan's Jose Mourinho thing. I'm really worried they're just going to go too on the nose.
Well, from what I understand, and the one promo photo that was released where you saw basically Rupert, Nate, and Ted had the Palpatine, Vader, Skywalker energy all the way down right to the element, and so that's what you're staring at. But yeah, March 15th, the Ides, beware the Ides of March. I just thought of that. Yeah, so Beware the Ides of March. Ted Lasso Season 3 is now out. And since it is halftime, but it's past halftime, it means one thing. It means that I've got to cut a promo. So I'm going to take the music down to 12 because apparently –
down to 12?
Well, because in the system, it starts it at 50, and you've got to adjust it. You've got to adjust it to a level where folks can actually hear the music and hear you talking at the same time. So it is out of loop mode. It is down to 12. And here's your promo. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. The Lemonized Service. The Lemonized Service deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. Lemonized created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use a Lemonized service to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. The turnkey process makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers, kind of the environment, offering a green way to go about getting rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever, different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we have either beneath the sink or above us in the cupboard, because when you reach beneath you into the sink or beneath the sink or above you in the cupboard and pull out the masking agent and you spray the masking agent in the air, there's a reason they call it a masking agent. Masks the odor, doesn't attack the problem like our friends at Lemonize do, all the way down to the molecule with the proven scientific formula. Pricing easy, one of two ways, either by cubic feet or parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you got any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, and this is where I grab my pen, go to the website, lemonize.com, but do us a favor here at SDH. After the .com, go /Atlanta, so they know what part of the world that you are asking them to help you attack your problems from. Doing a sentence and a preposition. Your full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, lemonize.com /Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air. A Lemonize service, proud sponsors of everything SDH on a Tuesday.
That's right. You want a surgical airstrike the odors in your home, you're calling in a Lemonize. They are the stealth fighters of bad, terrible odors in your home.
Bad, terrible odors.
Terrible odors will never see it coming.
The music was like probably a measure and a half away from hitting like danger zone. Kenny Loggins' danger zone levels of copyright infringement. So
absolutely,
right.
Absolutely. But that's what it's there for.
That's right.
And Top Gun Maverick down here, yes, Ricky, absolutely. Will says that they did Shakespeare's Julius Caesar when he was in 5th grade at his high school.
Wow.
Jesus.
He was Caesar, and you performed on March the 15th.
Good Lord.
Well, I hope so.
Man. And MARTA apparently is going to be suspending Red Line service from February 17 through 22nd. Plan other ways to get to your destination.
Hold on. You're telling me they are suspending Red Line service from Friday to Wednesday?
Yeah, apparently so. Apparently so.
Well, that's stupid.
Seems excessive.
5 days worth of not doing anything.
Why would you not wait to do that until like June or July when people like oh, good. Okay, MARTA. All right. Good luck.
Okay, so
take public transportation. We're closing down for 5 days.
Yep. All right. So I'm checking for like the latest on
Good Lord.
MARTA, and I'm getting
while John's doing that,
actual people, but there's no like notification from anybody. MARTA. Yeah. When you don't do maintenance, you have to do emergency maintenance. There you go. 4-card. Spot on. So they're replacing the double crossover south of the medical center station north of Buckhead. That's why. Okay, so it's a combo DOT MARTA confluence of activity, and so one has to stand down, and so MARTA's standing down while the DOT is replacing the double crossover.
Okay, so are they going to have bus service from the northern stations?
That's the question. You can take
a bus from Langston Medical Center. Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. So there's that. Couple of things that I wanted to get into this morning here in hour number 2. You got an email from their communications address. Okay, good deal, Will. UEFA got into a bit of trouble. and they were slammed in their own report for blaming Liverpool fans for the Champions League final chaos. A report says the final almost turned into a mass fatality catastrophe that UEFA must bear primary responsibility for. Jeremy Wilson at the Telegraph. UEFA bears primary responsibility for the drastic failures that almost turned last season's Champions League final between Liverpool and Real Madrid into a mass fatality catastrophe, UEFA's own review has concluded. Independent report strongly rejects suggestions the chaos was somehow caused by Liverpool fans without valid tickets, describing such claims as a reprehensible attempt by the authorities to deflect responsibility for their own failings. Ahead of the Rugby World Cup and next year's Five Ring Classic, where the Stade de France will again be the centerpiece venue, the review highlights alarming complacency within the French authorities about what must now change. And this is the wording from Jeremy Wilson at the Telegraph. Fans were pinned in, pepper sprayed outside Paris' Stade de France, as well as UEFA, searing criticisms are made of the French police and the French Football Federation. Quote, the panel has concluded UEFA, as event owner, bears primary responsibility for failures which almost led to disaster. It's remarkable that no one lost their life. All the stakeholders interviewed by the panel have agreed that the situation was a near miss, a term used when an event almost turns into a mass fatality catastrophe. Liverpool have implored UEFA to fully implement all the recommendations made in the report. Quote, last night, UEFA published the independent panel report into the failings we saw firsthand in Paris. It's within this context we call on UEFA and others at the top of the football regulation pyramid to come together and take positive and transparent action to ensure there are no more near misses. We implore UEFA to fully enact the recommendations as outlined by the panel, no matter how difficult. To ensure supporter safety is the number one priority at the heart of every UEFA football fixture. Liverpool was this close to another Hillsborough.
You can implore them till the cows come home, but imploring them and getting them to do it is
yes. UEFA had initially claimed the kickoff was delayed 37 minutes due to the late arrival of fans. A statement described by the report as manifestly inaccurate and a crass error of judgment. Subsequently claimed without evidence by French government ministers that thousands of Liverpool fans, and there was a talk like 40,000 was the number that Cave Solikal at Sky said. Thousands of Liverpool fans were at the stadium with fake tickets. Panel concludes that assertions regarding huge numbers of ticketless supporters and those with fake tickets have been wrongly inflated and have been stated as fact to deflect responsibility for the planning and operational failures of stakeholders. This is the report. This is the report that UEFA sanctioned itself on itself. So they're saying this is reprehensible and has involved UEFA, the event's organizing arm, the Triple F, the prefecture of the police, government officials, and French ministers. The panel is also troubled by a number of stark differences as to the facts of what happened and a general default position of blaming Liverpool supporters without any proper evidential basis.
Yeah, I'm with Byrne here on this one. If you've ever gone through immigration security at Charles de Gaulle, you must have realized that managing people, flows, crowd management is not a French strong point. I'm willing to pay a couple of $100 extra to avoid Charles de Gaulle at all costs. That is the worst. It is worse than JFK. It is worse than name the airport. Worse than Miami. Worse than any airport out there. Charles de Gaulle is the worst. Worst.
So you're saying not good?
Not good. Not good. And look, if UEFA has to be very careful right now. It has to be very careful because the Super League people are back, right?
Yeah, they are.
They are back, and they claim to have a model that will work. And if you are putting yourself out there as the good guy, the alternative, you have to have every I dotted, every T crossed, everything in pure total harmony and alignment. If you don't have that, you're going to be called a fraud, a fake, a phony. UEFA, with this buffoonery, is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You've picked and if I'm stuttering again, it's because I'm trying to find
it's
radio safe ways.
No, it's the incredulity, and we can put an explicit warning on the show. That's an easy one.
I've never been to Amsterdam, Mr. Vergara, so I cannot speak to Amsterdam. But it is Charles de Gaulle is the worst airport I have ever experienced. In outside of the outside of the military, is the worst travel experience that I've had. Was Charles de Gaulle, so they can eat biscuits of the horse variety.
I wonder how they would feel about biscuits. Like, not the horse variety, but like, I wonder how they would feel about like cat head biscuits. But if you just roll, like, this is the same theory I have, by the way, about like about the show about the British Bake Off.
Uh-huh.
What happens on Bake Off if we just put some random American cat into Bake Off? And they just like, okay, it's bread week. All right, we're making this. And you get somebody from, like, I don't know, from Vidalia, Georgia, who just starts rolling in there and just starts making these light cat head biscuits with local honey. I just want to see it.
No, it won't work. Look, Paul Hollywood. Do we remember
British don't like flavorings?
Well, do we remember the Mexico episode of British Bake Off where?
Dude, I still haven't even seen it. I'm so far behind.
Oh my god! No, because Paul Hollywood's like, I was in Mexico last week, and and like they didn't just butcher the taco. It was like a goat urinated on it, and then a gerbil went and slept on it for about a week, and then they served it.
That good, huh?
It was. I mean, this is what wars get fought over.
I was about to say they're going to start a war.
This is
a
like
war they can't win
because some person, like you said, from Vidalia, be like, well, this is my mama's biscuit recipe, and I have local honey from right down the way, and
it's probably going to it's probably going to taste like an epiphany from God.
Yeah, but they could never allow that. It would be like Archduke Ferdinand. It would be the Archduke Ferdinand moment, but it would be the Vidalia biscuit moment that kids in like 2045 would be reading about. Like, can you tell us the truth? Did we insult Momo's biscuit recipe? Well, first of all, it was not a proper biscuit. It was more of a scone than it was a biscuit.
A roll.
Yeah.
Why is David Beckham asking me about biscuits?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
No. David Beckham is going to be appearing later because of the Manchester United situation.
Oh God. But that's what would happen, right? Like, then you would have like Paul Hollywood getting murdered on the Great British Bake Off because, Paul and Prue put Mama's biscuit recipe into the blender. So no, I'm sorry. Absolutely not. No, we don't need that violence in our life, Jarrett. We don't need, because we know those South Georgia boys have no problem throwing down on a moment's notice.
They'll win a fight too. Like they ain't
will.
gonna lose the fight. That's for damn sure.
They may not win. They ain't gonna lose.
Well, I think. Do the English know what mutually assured destruction means?
I don't know.
No. Well, but Will, I think we've already answered the question. Which would the English accept first, biscuits or American managers?
Yeah, they would accept American managers for sure. I mean, look, the British have the song about the charge of the Light Brigade, right? So I mean, they would make some song about the stiff upper lip charging into the breach over Mama's the disrespect of Mama's biscuit recipe. So I mean, there would probably be like a song of like the charge of Paul and Prue, and it would be sung by British school children in the near future.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So there was apparently no plan B for the folks at UEFA as event.
Of course not.
Contingencies that could have seen, stewards and actual things like that, and police redeployed. No plan B whatsoever. So delayed 37 minutes, and we have Champions League today. AC Milan hosting Spurs at 3:00. Right now, AC Milan is a plus 149. Your draw is a plus 220. Spurs are a plus 210. PSG is hosting Bayern Munich. PSG is a plus 186. Interesting. They're a dog at home. Draws a plus 267. Bayern Munich's a plus 144. So,
is it bad that I forgot Champions League is a thing because we had this huge gap between the last round. Then we had a World Cup. Yeah, I legitimately, my brain is like, what the hell's a Champions League?
Yeah, I know. French Sports Ministry did not reply to a request for comment. UEFA didn't provide a comment ahead of receiving the report. And a lot of folks are saying that Alexander Sefrin, the head of UEFA, needs to resign because of that. So that came out yesterday. The Manchester United Qatari bid is apparently for real. And it is not the same folks that are attached to current clubs.
Oh, it's not, huh?
No, it's not. It's not QSI. It is the Qatar Investment Authority.
Yeah.
Not QSI, not Qatar Sports Investments. QIA is a $450 billion sovereign wealth fund that owns the Shard and Harrods. And so Sam Wallace and Tom Morgan, once again, at the Telegraph. So
it's Fredo. Fredo's running it.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
QIA, a bid from QIA to buy Manchester United in its entirety will come by the end of the week in time for the deadline set by the merchant bank selling the club. Marks a major development in the sale of United. The Glazers put it on the market for around £5 billion. Not clear how Qatar would square ownership of PSG and United. Remember, QSI owns PSG. QIA would then own United.
Okay.
UEFA's rules ban multi-club ownership, and QIA is acquired. Okay, so here's the logistics that we have to work our way through here. QIA acquired PSG through the subsidiary Qatari Sports Investments in 2011, and so QSI is a subsidiary of QIA, which is worth $450 billion.
Right.
So the Qataris are like, no, they're separate. I mean, yeah, one's different.
Right.
It's a subsidiary. It's not us. It's different. So QSI owns PSG. QIA would be the one to pick up Manchester United.
You know, here's the thing about a pyramid, right? A pyramid goes up to what? A singular point.
Yes.
Right? Isn't that crazy? One singular point. You can go down as wide as you want, but it arrives at one singular point. So look, Michael Corleone runs QUSI, and then Fredo runs he's running the Tangier out in Vegas after it was quote unquote acquired from Mo Green.
If only Sonny had lived.
If only Sonny had lived. Good God. You don't come out here and talk to a man like Mo Green like that. I mean, it's
yeah. The only other declared
R.I.P. John Cazale.
Yes, the only other declared interested party is Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who owns Ineos, and he was, I think, going to post something in the neighborhood of 4.5, but it wasn't going to be all at once. Private equity groups have kicked the tires on a full takeover or minority investment as well, and this is from the article. As well as PSG and its considerable property investments, QIA has stakes in Barclays, VW, and Sainsbury. The chief executive, Mansour Ibrahim Al Mahmoud's mission statement is to, quote, ensure the prosperity of future generations of Qataris as a world-class investment institution and a positive force for good in the global economy, end quote.
Yeah. Sam Walton IV and Steve Jacob Walton the third are they're all running. Yeah, okay, I got it. I think I've worked it out.
Yeah. The key detail is how the nation squares over any takeover united with UEFA. No issue with the parent company passing the owners and directors test set by the Premier League, which has no current club owned by Qatar. But the major hurdle would be Article 5 of UEFA regulations, which prohibit the multi-club ownership or even a stake in more than one club participating in UEFA club competitions. So let's say Manchester United was to play PSG, then folks would sit there and go, up shenanigans if one team advances and that kind of stuff.
Do you know why this bid's advancing? Because there's not going to be a Champions League in 5 years.
Yeah.
It's just going to be Super League. Super League is happening. Super League. It's happening. And look, for the record, because I don't like what City Football Group does either. I don't like what Red Bull does either, where they own 10 teams globally. I think it's wonderful that there's stability at Palermo, but at what cost? I can't say my child is more important than your child, even though everyone else may do it. At the end of the day, as much as I want to see Palermo succeed, at what cost, right? And so I don't. If we, and I think this is a great point, that if we allow City Football Group to do what they do, if we allow Red Bull to do what they do, you need to allow the Qataris to do this. To that end, I say I fundamentally reject what City Football Group does. I fundamentally reject what Red Bull does, and I fundamentally reject this attempt to take over. But at the end of the day, it shows how comically stupid the valuations of these clubs are nowadays, right. And it shows the need for a Super League. It's happening. Just get it over with. Let them go and form their own little version of soccer and NFL.
Too. We're going to get it in college football probably too.
Right. Exactly. It's going to happen. Let it go. Let it go.
Look at the way NIL has been working.
Yep.
Like we're going to have to just deal with the fact that it's a thing.
Yep.
And yeah, that's going to suck for a lot of people in a lot of people's minds, but you know what? It's the same thing with every sport. If you're a fan, you're probably still going to watch. Like that Rubicon that can be crossed where you're going to say, I won't do this anymore. It's probably not nearly as close as you want to think it is.
Yeah. Right. And if you are a purist and you're like, I want things to go back to the old club model. I want to where the city and the local investors are and the fans are the supporters are the ones who operate the club, not some conglomerate, not Fenway Sports Group, not some vulture hedge fund, not some
wonderful dream,
not some oil
your club
people.
To compete on a grand scale instead of just being an existing.
Right. Then you know what? And this is going to be really crazy, especially here in America. I want everyone to lean in very close to your headphones. I promise I'm not going to scream anything stupid. Guys, just lean in. USL is a thing. USL is a thing. You can go and you can cheer these smaller clubs that have rich history, that have rich support from the supporters and the local communities. You can be all about it, baby doll. You can be all yours. USL's right there. English Championship, all right? Third Division, it's a thing. Serie B is a thing. Serie C is a thing.
Birmingham isn't as nearly as far of a drive as you probably think it is.
Right. It's crazy.
So here's.
But if you want to win big, you're going to need stupid money to do it.
Yeah. Red Bull, and from the article, Red Bull came to an agreement with UEFA to scale back its involvement in the Austrian club it owns, Red Bull Salzburg, as a compromise to permit its German club RB Leipzig to compete in the Champions League as well. Qatar's potential involvement with two of the biggest clubs in European football would be much more high profile than the Red Bull multi-club project, although it would not be insurmountable. This is a copy once again from the Telegraph. Saudi Arabia's PIF, the Public Investment Fund, proved it was legally distinct from the leadership of the kingdom to the Premier League satisfaction in 2021. That was required to demonstrate who would have ultimate control over Newcastle United.
Have you guys ever heard of Sicilian payroll? Anybody ever heard of Sicilian payroll?
Nope.
It's really easy. It's a white envelope. That's it.
There you go.
It's a white envelope.
We've heard of it then. We just didn't know the term.
There's no bookkeeping. There's nothing written down. It's just a white envelope.
Sherwood. That's a catchy name.
That's
Sherwood.
Sherwood. That's it. That's all it takes is a white envelope. In college, and if you're a big fan of American college athletics, it's called the Bagman. That's it.
Still one of the best long forms I've ever read.
Yep. But Bern, yeah, I mean Bern, but RB Leipzig has played Salzburg in Champions League, or was it Europa, and shouldn't have been allowed to do that. These clubs are not separated at all. It's a scam.
It's if you need lawyers, right? If there are significant billable hours
Oh yeah,
dedicated to proving the separation of your particular entities, it's not separate enough. It's just not. And there are mechanisms that are used by these entities that provide a distinct competitive advantage. Like, for example, we talked about this for a very long time with Juventus, where Juve, what's their sponsor again? It's Jeep, right? Yeah. And Jeep is owned by who? Exor. Exor. Yeah, right. And who else is owned by Exor? Juve. Oh wow! So they can just kind of move debt around, and it's it's the shell game. Where's the debt? Yeah, look, it's a distinct competitive advantage, like these other teams can't utilize.
No.
Right? And good for them, you know. You just have to. But the days, like the toothpaste is out, the genie is out, the monster is on the loose. It's not going back in the cage. It like the world that we knew was a dog on a short chain, and now there is no chain, to paraphrase Jim Harrison. And
to your point, I mean, this like when the Super League failed the first time a couple of years ago, and we all laughed at it because it was hilarious the way it happened. What happened was it didn't show them that it can't work. It showed them how specifically it wasn't going to work in that way. It just showed them what they needed to do differently. It showed them how it won't work, but it sure as hell didn't deter them.
No.
Right. And that's the thing, is that both the good guys and the bad guys, if they are wise, will utilize failure as a learning opportunity. If you don't kill it, it's going to come back probably smarter and better, right? That's part of the issue that they have with people who are taking all the antibiotics, and they don't, the doctor says, you take the whole damn bottle. Well, I don't want to. I'm feeling better. Okay, take the whole damn bottle. Why? Because if you don't kill it, it's going to come back stronger. So it's the same thing with this. The Super League, coup attempts, all of it. If you don't kill it off, it comes back stronger. And so it's yes, Bern, exactly. There have been like 30 transfers from Salzburg to Leipzig, but they're quote unquote not connected. Right. Okay, great. Clap, clap, clap. Bern nailed it. It's white envelope system. It's Sicilian payroll. They meet up in some Austrian coffee shop somewhere, and they say, look, we need to move 2 players from Salzburg to Leipzig. Okay, here is the total we're going to use. Okay, great. There's no negotiation. It's not like Leipzig has ever pushed back and be like, we need 5 million more euro. No, that doesn't happen. Way that
if you do an accounting journal entry, if you're doing a journal entry moving money from accounts, you don't have a meeting to negotiate.
No,
you just tell a controller, hey, we need to run this journal entry from account A to account B.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, noted. Thank you. And you let the accountants and the lawyers handle it, man. But look, the world is different now. It's different than the idealized world that we want, which is these heroic clubs are ran by former longshoremen and, these heroic individuals who came back from the trenches to start these clubs by combining, the sheep herders union and the lamplighters or whatever. I don't know. It's gone. It's gone. If you want to be that dug in on history, go read a book, go watch a movie. You really must accept the fact that the world has changed to such a fundamental degree that you either have a system that is so entrenched at talent development, like Ajax, that you find a way to compete. You're still not going to you're not going to make it all the way to the end because the money's so damn stupid. But you're going against nation states now. When the Glazers look poor,
Yeah.
you're not playing the same ball game anymore.
Nope.
You're not. And so look, let's let them go and form their Super League. And yes, Milan will go with them, and that's fine. And I'll still pull for Milan in the Super League. But I'm probably going to start pointing my attention elsewhere more because I have the NFL already. You know, they can say it's an open system. Right. It's an open system, right? Anyone can buy a house. Yep. No problem. I got it. Anyone can go to college. Yep. No problem. Great. There's not every door is physical. Some doors are implied.
But you got to know the gate code to get into the subdivision.
You better know it. You better know it. And there's a reason why it's called a glass ceiling, right? You can see right through it. You can see what's going on up there. I'm not getting through it, but it's a glass ceiling because I don't have nation state money. I can't put, the GNP behind, the GNP to work for my club. I can't do it, because I'm just Nick. I can't fund my club to the moon to make that happen. So instead I have to wait on somebody who has,
a lunar lander that can help you out.
Right. Yeah. Somebody who has their own spacecraft to bail me out.
Yes. And by the way, according to our friends at the Telegraph, Tom Morgan, David Beckham has been asked to back various rival bids for Manchester United.
Yes.
The race hots up. In a sign, interested parties are readying themselves for a PR war ahead of Friday's soft deadline. The former England captain is among star names targeted for potential endorsements. Targeted several times in recent weeks ahead of a takeover race. Looks like it's set to pit Jim Ratcliffe and the Middle East investors. So bidding teams regularly target so-called club legends in an attempt to win over fans. Industry experts believe Sir Alex will also have been approached ahead of the offers this week. However, it is understood Beckham has so far turned down approaches and will not be attached to any offer, even if Qatar, who he works with in an ambassadorial role, have their offer accepted. Mr. Beckham, what do you have to say about this?
Well, I can't help but notice me social media. My social media hits took a massive slump during the Qatar World Cup and all that, and with Miami and. We were signing people under the table. I mean, we were signing people legitimately, completely above board this time, not like last time where we were paying people under the table. But I'm a big football fan. I'm a big football fan, and I want to see where it goes. Yes, you're just my lawyer. You're just my lawyer. Yeah, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say what you're saying. Okay. Yes. I will not. Be making a bid at this time for helping anyone. However, I remain the option open. Does that make any sense at all? No, it doesn't make any sense at all. I will leave my pocketbook and bank account open for a later supplementary bid if required. Thank you.
There you go. See?
So
right there. We caught up with David Beckham to find out what's going on.
Look,
FCH exclusive, buddy.
He's a media guy. He's a personality. He's a very, very handsome man who is very good at putting the ball 50 yards downfield right on somebody's foot. I get it.
Yeah, Ricky, where else are you going to get this?
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, Beckham, just sit this one out, buddy. Just sit this one out. I know you want the generational wealth, but just sit it out. You got your kid playing in Miami, or wherever your kid's playing now. Just sit it out. Just sit it out. All right. You got a beautiful family. Just sit it out. Don't do this to yourself. You don't want that kind of smoke.
No. You do not want that kind of smoke.
It's not even. It's if no other reason. You're generating smoke on yourself, and you don't need to.
No.
No.
Like it's like, oh, you brought the smoke down. Okay, well, I had to. Wait, you didn't have to.
Yeah.
You chose to.
Yeah.
He's got generational wealth already.
Yeah, like
You know?
take away the football thing. This is it's not dissimilar from the Tom Brady thing. I'm like, hey man, you take away your money. Victoria wasn't poor either. Like she made some bank in her day.
Yeah.
And then turned that into being a very successful businesswoman. Like, you're doing fine, man. What's it all worth? How much is your soul worth?
The concern here is that you have a brand that it really is a catch-22 because it is a brand that is so damn marketable. It's stupid. However, it is completely marketable because it is so either loved or so hated. Right? It's and the people who love that are the same people driving around with personalized license plates, right? They have Keen license plates. They have, Sir Alex license plates. They got Sir Alex tattoos. They got, George Best tattoos. They got all the tattoos you can possibly imagine. And the thing is that, like, the team has been pulled out of the ditch, right? I mean, they're pretty damn competitive now, and you have a guy in there who can build a system if you let him cook. And you're still protesting Glazier's out.
It's the easy thing to do. It's the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, and so
it's a lot easier to be upset than it is to enjoy it. I mean, it's kind of like the whole thing when you're told as a kid, like it takes more muscular work to frown than it does to smile. So be lazy and be happy. It's just a lot of it feels unnecessary, but that's kind of how sports are. Where if you're not angry about something, then you're not doing your job or something or another. And I don't know.
Well, sports have changed. It used to be an escape, right? Sports used to be the escape, and now sports are the release.
Yeah.
And
it's just another thing to be stressful about. I got enough things to be stressful about in my life.
Well, agreed. And that's why it's for a lot of people, it's the release. It's become the pressure release valve for everything because it's the easiest way to say other and not have to humanize, right? It's, I can hate the Columbus Crew with the fury of 1,000 suns because it keeps me from going to work on Monday and nuking my supervisor because the guy doesn't wear deodorant and is talking to me about the benefits of the Excel spreadsheet and the participation rates with cameras on Zoom meetings. It allows me that pressure release, but the problem is that it turns into something toxic and stupid if that's your only pressure release valve. And for a lot of people, sadly, that's all it is.
Yeah, so we need to talk about your TPS reports.
Oh, my God. Yes. Yes.
Let's see. What's going on today? We've got 10 minutes. So soccer on TV. BN has the Copa Libertadores tonight at 7. Nacional and Sport Huancayo. CBS has Champions League. Big CBS is showing PSG and Bayern. The question is, will Messi and Mbappe be available for selection? That's the question for PSG. FS2 has been showing the U17 championship. Doubleheader at 5 and 8. Guadeloupe, Jamaica, Cuba, Costa Rica. BN Sports in Espanol is simulcasting Libertadores. 2 has PSG and Bayern Munich at 3. Liga MX tonight at 8. Tigres and Juarez. Univision has PSG and Bayern Munich. The Plus has Burnley and Watford. Paramount Plus has both Champions League matches at 3. VIX has Milan and Tottenham at 3. VIX Plus has both of them at 3. And 4 matches from the U17s at 5 and 8. Suriname, 8, Guadeloupe, Jamaica, Cuba, Costa Rica, El Salvador, and Honduras. That's your stuff on TV. Let's see. We got juice boxes. Coventry's a favorite, 245. Right now we've got stuff going on Middle East, North Africa, Asia, lower divisions. That's going on. 245, 4 matches in the championship. Your favorites, Coventry at home, Norwich at home, QPR at home, and Birmingham at home. Birmingham City a plus 125 at home. Busy day in League One. Everybody's playing. Busy day in League Two. Everybody's playing. Lower divisions, Wrexham's a big favorite at 245 against Woking or Woking. I don't know how it's pronounced. I'm guessing it's Woking. It's spelled Woking. I don't know how it's pronounced, but I'll say Woking. A lot of the lower division stuff going on through the afternoon. Championship also at 3 o'clock. Burnley a favorite at home against Watford. Burnley under Vincent Kompany has done tremendously this season. And Jessica Charman's Reading favorite at home against Rotherham. Champions League, we mentioned Bayern Munich, a road favorite. Changed slightly at a plus 143. PSG's a plus 188. Milan at home is a plus 148 with Spurs a plus 212. Then you get into Central and South America.
Whoa.
What?
Wait, go ahead. Finish up because we just had some college foosball news drop.
Okay, sorry. So we'll get into that too.
Oh,
so
my.
You've got a lot of the campeonatos in Brazil. You've got Copa Libertadores. We mentioned that. Nacional Asunción's a big favorite at home at a minus 233. Liga MX doubleheader at 805. León is a favorite at home as a minus 152 against Puebla. Tigres, an even larger favorite at home against Juarez at a minus 227. Your 1005, Atletico San Luis, who's mad at the league and said so in a full screen the other day, is a dog against Club America at home. Club America is a minus 139. So your breaking news, Jared Smith.
Jason. No, Nick. Nick's the one that found it. Nick.
Oh, Nick.
No, I didn't find it. It was dropped in. It's dropped into the chat.
Oh, okay. Todd Monken, Ravens. We go. Bad.
I can't claim it.
So now the next thing they got to do is sign Lamar Jackson.
That sounds like the kind of move you make to ensure that Lamar Jackson does not leave you.
Yes.
Granted, that is a multi-tiered system, by the way, because if you don't sign him to a contract, you could, theoretically, put him on a franchise tag.
You could.
But if you put him on a franchise tag, that it becomes, you run the risk of really screwing up the long term. You really risk screwing up the long term existence of him there and angering him to the point that he doesn't want to sign a long term deal with you.
So then Will posits is this where the Ravens in day 2 draft Stetson 4.0.
I don't think his recent legal troubles may scare some folks off.
I could see that.
But if that's a good thing, if you're the Ravens, you just sit back and you make him an undrafted free agent signing. But Lamar's issue is I agree with with Ricky is it's going to be the guaranteed money, right? And the guaranteed money that is going to be tossed around for Lamar is going to be absolutely comic book stupid. So, the difference is that unlike your recent Super Bowl champion, one Mr. Patrick Mahomes, you have some gaudy eye tests that he's passed. You have some gaudy stats that he's put up, but I don't think that there's been something where you can put on him saying, this is exactly why you're going to pay this man this crazy, stupid amount of money. I just don't think so. I think if he had finished the season healthy and strong, at least, right? Yeah. And there was something glaring with the Ravens that clearly was amiss. Like the defense was, a disaster zone, or he had no wide receivers whatsoever to work with. And he was putting the ball on a dime where people could sit there and point and say, he delivered the ball consistently and accurately every time. Or when he ran the ball, he was like Cam Newton, where he was like a tank, and could survive just about anything you threw at him. I don't see that as being, I don't know. I think if he's healthy, it's a different conversation. since he ended the season injured, I don't see a lot of people lining up to hand over that money. The Deshaun Watson contract is absolutely ignorant.
Yeah, it is.
Ignorant.
Yep.
And that's a franchise that had to do a crazy Hail Mary, stupid contract situation in order to make itself relevant.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the amount of guaranteed money to me is I don't know. Look, I know a lot of Falcons fans want him. I would love to have Lamar here, but not at the price. I would love to have a Bentley, not at the price. I would love to have a Lambo, not at the price. There's a difference between being long-term successful, building a complete roster, as opposed to having, look, Philly got to the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts 5 years ago. If somebody said, hey, Jalen's going to be in the Super Bowl with the Eagles, I don't think there's a lot of people who would have handed you money on that one.
Yep.
So, if you build a complete team, you can make okay quarterbacks look pretty darn good and elevate play. I don't think you can do that with Lamar and the guaranteed money it would take to bring him here. Because eventually you're going to get out of the rookie deals of the unicorn in London. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, I mean, God help you, because you're going to do what the Falcons have always done, which is draft stupid talent and then have to get rid of them right away because you can't afford them.
Yep. A couple of other moves around Major League Soccer. LAFC signed midfielder Timothy Tillman from Greuther Fürth. CF Montreal signed forward Jules Anthony Vilsaint to a transfer. 2024 for options 25 and 26. Played at Royal Antwerp previously. Since 2021, he's been there. Played previously in club ball in Montreal before making the move to Europe. Another couple of moves going on. Jalil Anibaba has retired and now he's been appointed a club ambassador for Nashville SC. Very cool there. RSL signed Colombian defender Brian Vera from America de Cali. Drake Callender has signed a new deal with Inter Miami. And also this morning, Sebastian Driussi has signed an extension with Austin FC. Basically, they took his old deal, added a year to it, and gave him more money. So he's hanging out now until 25, I believe, or 25 or 26. But he's going to be there. It's like a 3-year renewal with an additional year added to the end. So he's going to be around, I think, till 27, if my memory serves. So Driussi signs a long-term extension. He's going to be there a while. And it was so through 25, option for 26 for Sebastian Driussi, and he's going to get paid the boatload of extra money that is attached with what he's been able to do there in Austin. So we've got a couple of contracts and folks moving around. So we got Champions League. Oh, before we go, Nick, Antonio Conte has said some of his Spurs players need more mental stability and have collapsed when they feel too much pressure at times this season going into their match with AC Milan against their inconsistency in the Premier League.
Yeah. Okay, there's a reason that's so Spursy trends on Twitter during high-stakes games, right? Mm-hmm. We saw this with the Cubs for a long time. The Cubs would suddenly look like they were pretty good and then collapse. We saw this with the Braves for a long time. They'd be really good and then collapse. The pressure changes. Georgia, the exact same thing. All the talent in the world. But if you are not mentally sound enough to keep the waters steady whenever tough times hit, you're not gonna meet with success too often. So Conte knows what he's talking about, man. He may have a muskrat staple gun to the top of his head, but he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Talking about the guy who resurrected Juve. Juve ran into some issues with confidence and fitness, and he solved all of that. So he knows what he's talking about here. And I think that it's going to suck when he leaves for Spurs fans. I don't care, but whatever. But
I still think it's going to be at the end of this season because he's still recovering from gallbladder surgery. He admits he's not 100%. Mm-hmm. Plus, losing friends the way that he has this season, losing 3 very close friends this year. plus with what
Yep.
he's going through, I think he's done after this season.
Yeah, I think he's done. I don't think he will not leave in the middle of the season, I don't think, unless they move him. But I think he's going to stay to the end of the season. But if they are smart, they will follow his advice and find a mentally strong manager to come in and continue to work with that squad. So good luck to him.
Yes.
No, I get it, Ricky. Ricky Ricardo says if you have the opportunity to get Lamar, you get Lamar. No reason to put a full court press on for Watson and not to do it for Lamar if you have the chance to. I like Ritter and will be fine if he gets to grow. My pushback on that is sometimes the best deal is the deal not made.
Yeah.
Not every in that, as far as you can try to go all in on a particular deal, but something derails that, and your money, even though you put it forward to say, hey, look, I'm willing to do this. Once you lose out on that and somebody else gets caught spending all that money and you have the chance to be like, kind of be in an observation mode, you could sit there and be like, oh, wow, probably a good thing we didn't put all of that money into one basket. Instead you see the opportunity. Hey, look, we can get 3-4 key free agents here to continue to work well through the draft to bolster bolster Ritter and see where we are. I think his numbers bared out toward the end of the season where he was a pretty darn successful quarterback. Mm-hmm. So I get it. I really do, because your logic makes sense, Ricky. You went all in to go get Watson with everything bad that went along with it. But the logic says, well, if you're going to do it for him, go for the guy who's not problematic and arguably more talented. It makes sense, but the deal not made there, I think, gives you an opportunity to reassess and say, okay, well, what's the best way we can fix this team, and what's the best way we can get this team competitive quickly? I don't know if it's one singular person. I think you'll get caught in a lot of shootouts that you'll be on the losing end of, because you don't have the ability to really control the game through defense and heavily running the ball. Yeah, Algiers really good, but I don't know. I like spreading the money around. That's just me. I'm willing to have disagreements otherwise.
We got Champions League later today. We got lower division stuff later today, 2:45 and 3 o'clock. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. So, Nick, if you would please, sir, since we have reached the 2-hour mark, please send us home for yet another day.
Just because we disagree doesn't mean that we don't like each other. Just because we disagree doesn't mean I am your mortal enemy. All it means is we disagree, which is really cool. We can all come back and fight and live and love again another day if we're just kind to each other. It's Valentine's Day. That doesn't mean Love Shack and all kinds of other nasty, crazy things, but it does mean you can show some love and affection to the people in your life, except for those nasty odors in your house, in which case you need to call a Lemonize. Tactical Orbital Airstrike. Lemonize is going to take care of all that stuff. Until next time, everybody, happy Valentine's Day. Get your significant other something. Man, if you got kids, go get some flowers, some candy, something for your kids. If you have a significant other and your significant other's like, you don't have to give me anything. No, go out.
Want to bet?
Yeah, go get something. Don't fall for it. It's a lie. It's a trick. Go get something, get some flowers, get something, do something special for the people in your life. Love you guys. Happy Valentine's Day to you. Until next time, mucha, mucha, Euro, y'all.
What he said. Mucha plata, y'all played safe. Since it's the end of the show, I get to do this. Wall Pass Wednesday tomorrow. We'll see you then.